Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the second Creative Natives webinar. It's a beautiful day here in Melbourne, and I think just based on what I'm hearing in the market, things are slowly moving in the right direction. So fingers crossed, over the coming weeks, things should return to somewhat of normality. So today we're joined by three industry leaders as we look to unpack what that next phase will look like, and hopefully what that means for both marketers and agency people alike. So the session should go for about 45 minutes with a bit of a Q&A at the end. So if anyone does have any questions, feel free to send them through on the chat, and I'll do my best to go through as many as possible. So without further ado, I'm just going to ask each of the panelists to quickly introduce themselves, and I guess a good way to start would be what the last 7 to 8 weeks has looked like in your world. And yeah, I'll kick off. Gemma, if you want to kick off with yourself.
Okay. Hi everybody. It's very strange sitting on a panel where you can't see everyone and see their reactions and engage. So that's been my, I think, first observation of lockdown is sort of how to listen when you can't necessarily see everybody that you're talking to. I think I've also probably perfected the art of the newsreader fashion code. So business from the waist up and Uggs from the waist down. I think we've all been on a bit of a sort of roller coaster ride of different emotions and behaviours, and understanding both how our teams are reacting and how the public and our customers are reacting. So lots of learning during this period. Cool.
Alex, what's been happening in your world?
So hi everyone. The 101 we just ticked over. We'll raise the bat there, Ryan. Obviously, Alex, head of marketing at Mini in Australia and New Zealand. Look, an intriguing period for us, I guess, in the whole automotive world. It is ironically quite a slow-paced industry at times when it comes to innovation through marketing at times, not always. And this period has just thrown a real curveball. I've never seen it busier, a bit like an ant's nest. When it's disturbed, everyone's busy getting things done. So it's just been keeping across all of that mayhem, organised chaos, whilst, as Gemma said, being dressed in the best journalist attire at home and doing your best to keep the team motivated. Very intriguing 6 weeks.
Nice, thanks, Alex. And Katija, what's going on in your world?
Hi everyone, my name is Katija and I'm the Managing Director of Misfit Digital. So we're a specialist agency based in Melbourne. I'm actually in Auckland at the moment, so lockdown down here. So yeah, it's been a crazy time for agency land. We've had a real mix of, as Gemma said, it's been a roller coaster. So a lot of clients who have freaked out and pulled back spend, and a lot of other clients who've seen the opportunity and have run with it. So I think the biggest thing for us at the moment has been helping businesses transition into more of an e-commerce environment, which is what we really specialize in. So a lot of movement, a lot of I guess pivoting when it comes to strategy as well, and really trying to understand what people are going through and making sure that whatever marketing comms you're putting out there, it's relatable, but also has that empathy with it as well. So it's been quite a journey, and yeah, as Alex said, learning. I think lots of learning and lots of making sure that you, as a leader, maintaining that, I guess, vision for the team and making sure that everyone kind of feels comfortable and, you know, understand that it's crazy, but we're all working towards something better, I guess. So yeah, it's been
cool.
fun.
Cool. So I guess today I'm looking to have it in sort of two parts. Kind of the first part, understanding, you know, what the situation has meant for you guys and how you've gone about it. But I think a lot of listeners are very keen to hear what that next phase beyond this period looks like, and you know, how they should go about it. So if we kick off and sort of given the fact that a lot of consumers, customers have been in their own worlds very much in survival mode, how have you guys as marketers been able to promote your brand whilst being sensitive to everyone's needs at the moment? Like how have MYER or you know, how have you as a marketer gone about that job to wow people but also be sensitive at the same time?
I mean, I think it all comes down to really making sure that we're constantly on the pulse of what's going on in customers' worlds, you know, in people's worlds, in humans' worlds. And, you know, the fact is, as marketers, we are also people in this situation. So, you know, having lots of conversations within the team with our great agencies about what is going on in our world, what is going on in our customers' world, and for us, you know, reading the day-to-day data. So, you know, towards it, sort of in the first week of lockdown, we had an enormous rush on bread makers and coffee machines. So clearly Australia is going to come out of this as master bakers and baristas. And so it's sort of, you know, looking at the patterns of what people are spending on, and then being able to interpret those to see, okay, people are worried about how they're going to feed themselves at home. So this is something that we need to help them with. It's that sort of two-way thing of kind of how are people reacting and what is it telling us?
Yeah, sure. And Alex, like in terms of automotive, what's that look like for you? Are people still wanting to buy cars, or you know, how have you been doing it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's still consumers out there looking to make that, I guess, high value purchase for a car. There has been an impact. I know in April just gone by, the industry on average was back about 40%. So definitely has been an immediate impact. So for us, I guess there's a few steps we've had in place. There's been a real prioritization to brand communications over any retail or tactical offer. Necessarily, because we know that obviously, as Gemma mentioned before, the consumer behaviour is changing, but customers are still very much out there. I know we'll talk about e-commerce shortly, but what's interesting for us when we look at, you know, customer conversion ratios, etc., generally 1 in 3 from a dealership visit, but immediately this spiked and went above 50%. So it has been about monitoring the customer behavior. How can we respond to that? How can we pull and change our comms strategy? But also as a wholesaler, we have 20 dealers in Australia. We have 5 or 6 now in New Zealand. They are also our customer. So it's how we can work with them. How can we align with them to be consistent with our strategy as well?
Yeah, cool. And Katija, you know, what's been the view from your camp?
Yeah, obviously we've got a mix of clients. Some are just killing it because they've got essential service products and things like that. So for them, a lot of their marketing strategy hasn't really changed. The main thing that has really come through is really making sure that you understand the state of mind of your personas or your customers right now. They're still the same people, but things have changed. So for us, it's really been advising clients to add value where you can. Be that brand. Don't just drop out of market and stop marketing. Be that brand that is there for your customer, even though if you can't trade now, or it might be, you know, 2-3 months down the track. Make sure you're top of mind, you're adding value, and you're really utilizing the channels such as digital and social media, where it's spiked considerably in terms of usage. You've got a captive market, so making sure that you're not only being in front of them, but being considerate. Being really considerate about the comms you're putting out there, and really understanding how you can be that brand that people can rely on and trust down the track. So as Alex said, brand awareness is pivotal for a lot of people right now. But yeah, it's been, and for us personally as an agency, we started our own free e-commerce group just to give back to people who can't necessarily afford it, and we've been interviewing experts and stuff just to really make sure people understand and get the right advice as well. So again, adding value to people where you can.
Sure.
I think that value piece is really important as well, as you mentioned, Katija. I think we all received a lot of COVID-19 emails and communications, understandably initially, but it was then about, for us internally, what can we send and distribute and communicate that actually does add value
exactly
to our customers, be that those that are on a financial contract, and how we can help them. Yeah, completely agree.
This is it. And, you know, I was advising a client the other day, and they've got a product that's around 15,000, and normally they would sell it up front. And, you know, we've worked with them to be able to come up with new payment plans and things like that, to be able to show that, hey, we still have a great offer. But the thing is, we understand that you're in these situations that you might not be able to buy. And obviously as a marketer, that's fantastic, because we can show that we're giving a different point of view, and we're giving them some extra value to be able to still engage, but within their framework that they can afford. So it's about not only changing your comms, but changing your offer and your positioning as well, I think.
Totally right. I think from our point of view at MYER, you know, we immediately relaxed our returns policy, because we understand, you know, especially with fashion, you kind of want to try it on, and then, you know, you might not feel safe going to the post office or able to get to the post office. So it's really just looking at customers' lives and going, this is what they're going to need now. So we need to help them with that.
Exactly.
Okay. So, Katija, you mentioned then that obviously there's a lot more eyes online at the moment, a lot more social media use. I guess the question for all of you is, should marketers be purely doubling down or using their budget online, or do you guys need to think more holistically? And I mean, Katija, you might have a biased opinion, but should you as marketers have a more holistic view of the marketing mix and be thinking outside of just those online channels?
I mean, I might jump in. I mean, Katija, we're happy for me to say this: don't stop talking and communicating. Don't stop moving. I think one of the first things I was taught was, in a time of crisis, is not the time to stop talking and stop communicating. It's almost the time that you should actually technically double down on a media spend. My media agency might be on this call or not. They won't hold me to that. But my CFO may disagree necessarily. But it's important as a marketing department to continue to fight for your investment. Your media investment's not a budget, it's an investment. And to continue speaking, communicating. We've just mentioned it before, being considerate, being respectful, and having a message that reflects the current environment. For us, with our channels and our spend, automotive, traditionally are big spenders. Mini, we are one of 63 players in the market in Australia. There's a lot of messages in market, and some of the big players, obviously, in things like TV, where there's great value right now. Gemma, you said that people are buying bread makers. MasterChef on TV must be loving life right now. They've got a captive audience, right? Captive audience. But for us, we don't necessarily have the TV investment. And, we had a higher share in online anyway. There are certain channels we are reviewing through this current environment. Obviously, foot traffic down, out of home, and all things like that, being reviewed. But the traffic is coming back. But I would hazard a guess, Gemma, you're always looking, for example, at media consumption behavior anyway. So this is always constantly shifting and changing, regardless of the context. I'm assuming that's right.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head. We're constantly, as marketeers, working with our agencies and in-house media experts to understand what the behavior is around channels. Who's viewing what or seeing what, where, when, and how, at what point in the customer journey are they engaging with that media, and really mapping the message to the channel and the behavior of the audience. That hasn't changed at all. We're doing exactly the same thing today as we were doing 6 weeks ago. Yes, the channels might have shifted a little bit. I mean, we are in TV at the moment, as well as, social and online. But I think coming out of this, it's, we'll continue down the same path of sort of what is the right channel to use for that audience right now. I think the challenge with social specifically at the moment is that people are mindlessly scrolling, even more mindlessly scrolling than before, because, it's sort of home at life, or life at home. You're constantly with your phone in one hand and your laptop in the other. And that sort of mindless scrolling is happening, and we're probably getting slightly bored of what all of our mates are posting. I don't really care what everybody's cooking today, so I think if we are using social, we've got to make sure that messaging is relevant, engaging, funny, warm, talking to the customer. So really thinking harder. More than anything, it's not about just pulling above the line assets and throwing them into social. We've got to really be fit for purpose for the channel.
I couldn't agree more. Just to add to that, so for us, for our clients at the moment, just when it comes to social buying, it's probably the lowest I've seen Facebook buying rates in about 5 years. So many people have pulled out. You can get a ridiculous value. And we're getting clients at the moment who are getting 20 to 25 times return on their investment on Facebook alone. It's insane. That is if you've got the relevant content and it's personalized. So for us, what we're really starting to do as well is not only leveraging paid media channels, but also looking at more of the segmentation with our clients and their customer base, making sure that the comms going out are relevant across email, across social, all of those digital channels, to make sure that we're actually getting connection, because there is a lot of noise out there. So yeah, obviously I'm biased. Digital for me, I love data, and I love being able to analyze it on a daily basis and seeing what's working from a messaging platform, you name it, a point of view. But it's about using what's there and not doing just pressing and playing and hoping that you're going to get cut through, because you won't. So you've got to be smart and you've got to be nimble right now.
Mm.
think it also comes back to own channels. I mean, automotive is traditionally a bricks and mortar retailer. As much as how we approach our spend and paid channels, etc. This is a great opportunity for us to review the experience on our website as well for Mini. You know, we just went live yesterday with an e-commerce solution to secure the new Mini Electric. Bit of a plug for Mini. And you know, we've already got 90% of our volume taken. So that definitely, to your earlier question, right, people are still very much out there. People love to consume, they love to live their life. That's why we are alive. So we need to make sure, exactly to the point Katija made before, that we have a relevant message if we're spending, but also we have the experience online that reflects what people want.
E-commerce alone in New Zealand, the week after level 4 lockdown, was, I think, increased by 340%. So it's pretty much bigger than Christmas. So people are buying, but you've got to be on the money. You've got to make sure that whatever you're putting out there is relevant and it's just not trash, because it will damage your brand and you're just going to waste budget.
Cool. Okay. Katija, I think we had a conversation on the phone a week or so ago, and you'd said that so many businesses that you've worked with are finding ways to pivot their offering, and is that the role of a marketer, or is that your role as an agency to suggest ways to pivot, or like where does that fit in with marketing, or is that a business objective, or?
It could really sit with anything. It depends on the structure of the company. But obviously, if you've got a good agency, they should be on the money and giving you advice without being prompted, I guess. And that's what we tend to do, is just be a bit more proactive and looking at those business opportunities. How we work as well, we don't work purely necessarily with the marketing team. We may work with a bit more of the senior management operations logistics team, especially when it comes to e-com, because if you're putting something else out there, there will be some implications around delivery as well. So look, I think, to answer your question, for me, it's to get the right people in the room that are going to make the decisions to make it move fast, because you don't want to have a conversation with one person and then a month later you've missed the boat right now. So yeah, get the right brains in the room and come up with solutions that are actually going to add value, but also from a profitability standpoint, make sense.
Sure. And I guess to Alex and Gemma now, a number of the listeners are people that work in agencies, whether it be owners of agencies or account managers. I guess at times like this, as a business, what are you looking for from your agency partners? Like what are you looking for from them?
The same thing that we're always looking for from them. Bring us cultural observations. Look at new ways we can create experiences for our customer, better experiences for our customer. Simplify it for us. Tell us things we don't know. Help us move fast. I don't think much has changed really in what we want, except that if I was in a leadership team at an agency right now, I would definitely be going out and looking to either recruit or do deals with some new types of staff. I'd be bringing on board behavioural psychologists, neuroscientists. I think more now than ever, the kind of expertise we need in sort of planning teams at agencies has shifted. So we still need that traditional expert that can read the data that we're used to reading, but we need a new data set. We need to more deeply understand how people react to the world, especially at moments of ultimate unprecedented crisis like this. You know, everybody is asking what's going to happen next, what's going to be different out the other side, and nobody's got the answers because we've never been through this before. So having some of those people that are able to model and predict around behavior is I think the game changer.
And data's been, or the democratization of data, I guess as you call it, Gemma, has been such a fascinating topic for the last couple of years. We hear things like CDPs and how we can aggregate all these different data sets. You're exactly correct. Whilst we think we are the expert sometimes at client side on everything, we are not. And if an agency can bring perspective or a skill set that suddenly shines a light in an area we have never seen before, that's definitely something we'd be looking for. For us as well, I mean, my background prior to Mini was a suit at a creative agency. Creativity is worth its weight in gold, always has and always will be. And I think people are really discovering how important creative thinking is and innovative thinking. We saw what came out of the GFC with regards to Uber and other platforms. Innovation came through in such difficult times. So we look at our agencies, particularly the creative ones, to say, what can you bring that's different and new? and innovative.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly why I'm asking agencies to look at different people or think about different people, because it's very hard to get to new with the same. So new mindsets bring new ideas. And so I think that's kind of part of the key to the future.
Right. And as I said, you know, let's start to look at that next phase now. So I think as social distancing becomes more relaxed and, you know, there's a bit more confidence with consumers, do you think marketers need to shift from a very empathetic, we've got your back style messaging to being a bit more bold and brave? And when do you think that sort of period should or could happen, do you think?
For me, I think there's going to be a lot of additional things. It's not just about the social distancing side of things. There's a big economic shift that's about to happen. So for a lot of people, it's going to be really tough for a long time, businesses as well as consumers. So I think the empathy needs to be maintained. Obviously, maybe not being so huggy, but, you know, change the comms in that respect. But I think just making sure, the beautiful thing about digital and having channels like this is that you can test and get feedback direct from your customers. So, you know, find out what's going on, get that insight, and then apply what you're hearing into your marketing comms. It's pretty basic, but, you know, it's something that people tend to lead and not lead with. So in terms of how we should be communicating, I think it's just really listening, understanding what's going on and translating that into how you put your message out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gemma mentioned it right at the front. Right at the start of the conversation, look at your data, look at your customer, look at the behavior, what's happening, how can you respond to that? You know, I always think for a brand like Mini, we need to be bold and brave as expected, but be consistent as well going forward. I don't think that there will be, it's not binary, it's not going to be, there's the now and then there's the future. Like you said, Katija, it's going to be an evolution and we need to work with that. The best way we can work with it is looking at the data and looking at the customer first and seeing what's happening.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think anyone that has ever worked with you with me will probably tell you that brave is kind of permanently in my DNA. So that's just a general state of mind for me. But it's brave, it's qualified bravery at the moment. So it's not let's be brave just for the sake of it because times are different and so we can give this a whirl and see what happens because the world's a bit mad now. It's let's be brave because we know this is the right thing to do. And it might be difficult to sell this idea past our CFO or whatever, but we know it's the right thing to do and we can, you know, prove it or we can show why we want to test it. So yeah, qualified bravery, I think.
Cool. Now, Gemma, you touched on just a couple of minutes ago around agencies needing to bring in new skills, you know, to create new results moving forward. Other than data scientists or analysts, are there any other skills that marketers should be developing that you anticipate to see a big need for, whether it be SEO, you know, like, is there anything in particular that you think that a generalist marketer should be focusing on upskilling over the next few weeks?
A marketer should be upskilling on? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, or I guess any of our listeners, which are predominantly agency or marketers. So anything in particular that they should be learning or upskilling in?
Yeah, for me, there are two things that I would say are absolutely vital to focus on, and I can suggest a couple of resources as well. One is listening skills, because it's really different having a conversation like this. It's, you know, you have to sort of learn to listen differently. And I don't think that's going to change. I think as we start moving back out into the world, our teams are going to need probably a different approach to how they're working. You know, some people might have discovered that they actually really like working from home. People might have challenges with childcare that are ongoing or health issues that are ongoing. So we're going to need to be much more flexible about how we work as businesses. And so if we're not all in the same room at the same time, those listening skills are really, really vital. There's an amazing podcast called Deep Listening by Oscar Trimboli that I would highly recommend to everyone. It is an absolute weapon of a game changer. And the other thing that I would say is vital is leadership skills, because we've never led through something like this before. And, you know, I'm spending a lot of time at the moment thinking about when we get back to a situation where we might be more together again, we might be back in meeting rooms or, you know, our offices. How do you bring back your team into a high performance team? And when I say your team, I mean not just your immediate team, but your agencies as well, because everybody's going to be somewhere different mentally and emotionally. You know, some people will have been stood down, other people will have worked through, their levels of energy will be different. You know, people are going to be worried about their jobs long term maybe, or, you know, so where people are on that sort of ladder of focus when we come back is going to require deep thinking about how to lead, and how to lead with purpose through this new world we're in. So for me, listening and leadership are the two weapons.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I mean, there's people obviously that are, when it comes to being change adverse, are not at the same level as others. That's life. And you're right. It's learning how to work with your team and collaborate with leaders as well, and make sure that you can work and move as a unit forward through this, and keeping optimistic as well, regardless of your position.
And people are your best asset. If you've got your people, you know, in a great mindset and together, you're going to get great creativity and great innovation. If people aren't working together and are nervous and stressful, it's not going to breed a good environment. There's actually a really fantastic book called Best Behavior. It's by an author called Tony Holmwood. Basically, he goes through about how to maintain a really solid culture, especially through changes just like this. He's based in Sydney, an incredible man. And honestly, I recommend anyone who's got in leadership or in HR to read that, because there's a fantastic framework about, you know, how important emotional intelligence is when it comes to leadership and how you can transform that into your team as well. So yeah, a resource that I've been leaning on quite heavily over the past couple of months.
Gemma and Katija, have you seen a different side, I guess, of your team members through this as well?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And how you want to respond to them and...
Yeah, it's been quite interesting. There's like I personally think we've got a pretty open and honest culture in our agency, and everyone's been we've all pulled together, which has been really, really amazing. And we've been very transparent around the business, especially around numbers and what we need to hit and targets and stuff. And I guess it's been quite amazing to see people really come out of their shell and go that extra mile because they believe in what you're doing. They love working with the clients and are coming up with awesome, innovative ideas. I guess for us though, we're already quite used to working in a remote environment. So, you know, we've got quite a flexible workplace. So we haven't had too much pushback around having Zooms all the time. And I feel for people who aren't having that, because that's a whole nother, I guess, operational thing you've got to get through. But yeah, it's been quite incredible. And I'm so proud of all the work everyone is doing, and doing things that aren't even in their job description, just because, you know, they really believe in what we bring to the table.
Mm.
I think, yeah, one of the things that has really surprised me during this period is the amount of people apologising for parenting. You know, I'm really sorry that I can't do this at this time, or, you know, you get a little naked 2-year-old wander into your Zoom call and people are really sorry. And my response to that is, and I'm not a parent, I don't have kids, my hubby and I have a fur baby. But my response to that is, please don't apologize. The most important job you have is a parent. That is far more important than whatever it is we're talking about now. We need to be flexible and enable that to work. So that's been a really big surprise to me, is there's still that stigma or hang up or whatever it is about, I need to hide this. I need to hide this part of my life. And I think that is an industry-wide problem. So that's, you know, that's been something I've been sort of working hard with the team on, that, you know, oh, that's fine. We just work around it. No problem.
I've actually really enjoyed seeing the person, and that's what I was asking before, the character, what makes up that person and how they obviously are responding to difficult situations, be it at home. And, you know, I've got mixed situations for my entire team, but it's really helped almost build a rapport and build a connection. And I think when it comes to, you know, because always there is change, and there'll be new people that come on the team and people will continue to leave. But when it comes to hiring and the approach to that, for me anyway, I'll very much be looking at more of, we always talk about, we look at the person and their skill set outside of knowledge, but I'll be very much looking at who they are as an individual as well. So back to your question, Ryan, and Gemma's comment before, you know, how they approach you know, themselves is really important.
Great. And there's a few small business owners I know on this call this morning. So I guess just in terms of basics and applying your experience, if you were a small business with very limited finances or resources, what are the simple or effective marketing tips that you would give, you know, any business maybe doing it a bit tough at the moment, and what can they get the most, I guess, bang for their buck, you know, utilizing at the moment? Is there anything that you would recommend to use? Maybe Katija, do you have any recommendations?
Definitely. Firstly, it kind of depends on what your business is, right? So if you have, as I mentioned earlier, if you aren't able to trade right now, building brand awareness and using social media obviously is a really effective tool, and building your list if you can. So building an email list is really important. What I can say though is, you know, there is a lot of exceptional free resources out there at the moment for people who can get really, really good advice for nothing. So seek them out. The other thing as well is be authentic in your content. I think a lot of people are trying to overthink things and going, oh my God, I need to create these big marketing campaigns, you know, like some of the other big brands out there. But the good thing is right now is that we have a phone. You can create amazing content. Go into your business, start, if you can, start recording what you do, tell your story, be authentic. If you're going through trouble, talk about that, because people will respond to authenticity and they'll connect with you. So get on social media. If you're not sure how to do it, you know, give us a yell. We've got a few free resources we can help out as well. And, you know, just get out there. If you can trade and you've got the opportunity to start looking into econ, do it. You know, there's some really cheap options depending on your website. You've got Shopify, you've got WooCommerce, things like that. You can build a site very, very quickly, very cheaply. And be able to trade really, really within a week or a couple of days, depending on what you're doing. And again, there is support out there. Shopify has got great free resources to walk you through that. But if you have that capacity, get online, because people are on there. So don't sit back and sit on your hands and go, oh God, I can't do anything. Just take action. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, you'll learn from it. That's the positive thing as well.
I'm probably going to say what small businesses shouldn't do, because it's the thing that is driving me literally over the edge of reason at the moment, is bombard everyone you can get hold of on LinkedIn. I'm like literally sick of LinkedIn cold call emails. So where it's working with small businesses in our area, so, you know, I don't know, PR agencies or whatever it is the phone. So it's someone kind of just giving me a call and saying, you know, either someone I know or drop me a text, so-and-so's given me your number, this is who I am, have you got time for a chat? I think when it's a bit more personal like that, and you're, you know, reaching out, you're more inclined to give that person the time of day.
Sorry, just quickly on that. And the other thing as well that I've seen work a lot with some of our clients, especially in the hospitality industry at the moment, that's really, really suffering here big time. Leverage on strategic partnerships. Talk to people that you know, create offers together. That costs nothing. You know, we've got friends that are, you know, that are bars, restaurants, connecting together to have a joint offering. And you can look at your network, leverage that, ask people if you can do something, or they can talk to their people to bring business to you as well. It's old school stuff, you know, it doesn't have to be all, you know, smoke and mirrors. Just get down and as you said, Gemma, get on the phone.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you know, we've had some of our dealers reach out to small businesses around them and vice versa to say, look, we've got cars, you need to move food, maybe we can work together. There's a lot of big brands out there that are looking to support small businesses because obviously that has a positive perception on their brand. So leverage those connections if you've got them. There was a great article I read yesterday in The Australian, spoke about small business needing also to have that level of agility and think quickly and not just to sit back and wait and watch and see what happens in a month. It's to work quite quickly through this.
Great. Cool. Look, we've had a few questions come in, so I'm going to do my best to go through them. One listener asked, post GFC, the marketing department was one of the first areas to be cut. Is this something you can see happening, and what would you potentially say to businesses that are thinking of cutting back on the marketing?
I said it before, Ryan, through the GFC, the same thing came up. Exactly as the question said, there are the smart brands out there that are doubling down on their spend right now. My entire team is obviously all still working. There was that moment of trepidation when this all hit for everyone. But it's not happening with us. There's always a battle with our CFO to review budget, as they call it, and we call it an investment. That's always going to happen. There's always going to be a little bit of a fight on liquidity, etc. But no, from my perspective and from partners that we're working with, that's not the case.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think, you know, it's the ongoing dilemma, isn't it, of sort of, you know, long-term investment for growth versus, you know, short-term needs for whatever, you know, situation the business is in. So, you know, it's an always-on conversation, really. I think at most brands, and certainly this is actually my first brand role. I'm only 6 months in, so coming from agency side, you know, it's a conversation I've had with clients for the last 10 years to sort of help support them through how do you hang on to the cash. So I don't really think anything's changed, and I think it's just, you know, it is about doubling down on really helping everybody that might not be quite as marketing knowledgeable as you understand what it can do. So, you know, using the data and really providing evidence of what marketing delivers is more important than ever.
I mean, Ryan, when we introduced ourselves, I said it's never been busier for ourselves here at Mini. And on one hand, we're you know, not to say reactively, but progressively responding to the current situation and what we need to do in the short term. But on the other, we're looking at the next 12, 18, 24 months ahead. What have we got coming? How are we going to work towards that? So it is a very busy period. And when it's busy, you need all hands on deck. So
yeah, exactly. Sorry, Gemma, you go.
No, go on.
I was just going to say, you have to look at this strategically. If you're looking at in fear and as in just the next week or the next month, you're going to shoot yourself on the foot. And I think, look, for a lot of businesses at the moment, I completely understand cash flow is not there. I get that. But there are so many ways you can still be a market without spending a lot of money. Look at what you're doing now, Ryan. This is exactly a point in case. You can create content, you can create value online that doesn't necessarily cost a bomb, but you're still in front of your customer. Utilize your email list if you've got one. You know, start to have conversations. Just don't stop. Do not, if anything, do not drop your marketing right now, or you are going to be at a downhill.
From behind.
It's just not worth it.
Cool. Another question, perhaps more for Gemma and Alex. We have someone from an agency account manager asking, what are your tips to successfully transition from an agency into an in-house role? Is there anything that you would recommend?
It's a really good question, and one I asked lots of people before I started this job. Having an open mind would be the first one, because I think what you think it's going to be like and what it's actually going to be like are pretty different. So being open-minded, bringing with you the best of what you've learned in the agency. So sort of, you know, processes you can apply, different types of thinking, and working out how you're going to interact with your agency. And I would say that's was probably the biggest challenge for me at the beginning. Is my background, I'm a creative, and then suddenly I'm a client working with creatives, and I would imagine that those creatives at the beginning were probably like, oh God, oh no, here we go.
Tables have turned.
How the hell is this going to work? I'm lucky with Clems that they just welcomed me with open arms, and we had really honest conversations about the fact that I have my client training wheels on, and we needed to give each other feedback on a regular basis. So feedback is vital at the start, you know, what's working, what's not. And yeah, just go for it. I mean, I didn't know if I could do it or not, but I think you've got to roll the dice in life sometimes and have a go and see if it's for you. And luckily I love it. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I changed. I crossed to the dark side 7 years ago, Ryan. I remember when I left. I was at Ogilvy at the time. One of my parting gifts was they pictured me as Anakin Skywalker with the Darth Vader shadow. It's a bit of a joke, but you know, I turned it down a couple of times. The reason, if the client's asking you to cross over and work for them, it's because they value you and who you are. So don't change who you are and your approach. Clients really value the culture agencies have. And so don't change that. If you want to come across as well, back who you are and what you've learned at an agency, back the processes, back the fact, because agency people can work hard. They can work through shit periods as well. They're tough. And that's a really highly valued skill for a client, particularly right now where it's tough. We want people that when the going gets tough, the tough get going, as the saying is. So that's really highly valued. So value yourself if you want to cross across the client side.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. You know, agency side, you learn resilience from the minute you're out the cradle, as it were.
Oh yeah.
And that is, it's a really great skill to bring into client side.
Mm. And again, sometimes there are clients out there that sometimes they treat agencies like they are their boss themselves, which is the incorrect way. And if you come across the client, I have seen it a couple of times, suddenly people change as well and they take on that behavior. Your agency is your partner through this and through anything. So if you do come across, again, continue to treat your agency like a partner, like a colleague. And that's when the best results come.
I think building on that, fully agree. Building on that, I would say, think about all the things you loved and hated while you were client side and while you were agency side, and then make a commitment to continue to do the things that you loved and appreciated, or harness those and channel them, and absolutely not only not do the things that you hated, but help educate other people in the client side scenario that you're now in on why it's not effective. So why not giving your agency any feedback is hurting you more than it's hurting them. You know, so kind of promote the great behaviors and help people understand why the bad are bad.
And no 5 p.m. Friday briefs.
Oh.
Yeah, definitely.
Listen to these very intelligent people, anyone working in-house. It's all great advice.
Katija, there was a couple of people have asked the author's name of the book, Best Behaviour, you mentioned.
Yeah, Tony Holmwood, HOLMWOOD, I think. But yeah, Best Behaviour, Tony Holmwood, TonyHolmwood.com. I think you can find it there. But yeah, he's fantastic. A lot of experience in change management for over 30 years in Australia and New Zealand, and definitely has a really great grasp around culturally in Australia and New Zealand as well, how to make it work. So it can be very different to a lot of the US kind of ways of working.
Sure. Guys, I think we're coming to an end of the session. Are the listeners okay to link in with you all, and if they have any individual questions, shoot you directly?
Yeah. Okay.
So, not you, Gemma. You don't like LinkedIn messages.
No. I like LinkedIn. When
Give her your phone number. Just give her a call.
Everyone ring Gemma.
Please all feel free to LinkedIn me. It's more the people trying to sell me weird bits of AI that are driving me mad.
Yeah. I hear. Same here. Obviously, happy to answer any questions and help wherever I can. We've been doing it a lot lately, so I think at the moment we've all just got to pull together and really share our ideas, share what's going on, and just work through this. The more we do that, the more I think we're all going to be better off.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for your time this morning. Everyone listening, as I said at the start, I feel like the wheels are slowly moving. Things are getting better. So take a deep breath. Things will improve slowly. So have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in, and take care. Thanks a lot.
Great. Keep positive, everyone.
Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
See you guys.
Bye.